Okay. Good evening and welcome to the July 31st, 2019 meeting of the Milton Select Board. I apologize that we're late coming on. There was a miscommunication with Milton Cable Access, and so we did take the time between 7 and 7:30 to go to item 6 on our agenda. We opened the meeting, went to item 6, which is the executive session. And now we have returned to open session, and we're going to go to item 2 and ask everyone to join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for that. Item 3 on the agenda is a discussion with of the board with the Parks Commissioners regarding consolidation. Let me give you just a little background of that. Rick Neely, who's the chair of the Town Government Study Committee, asked if this board and the Parks Commissioners were interested and would instruct the Town Government Study Committee that are interested in Town Government Study Committee looking into consolidation of the parks with town departments during the remaining time of their term, which I think expires in December of 2019. So we scheduled this meeting with the Parks Commissioners in order to have that discussion and hopefully have a recommendation from both boards. Unfortunately, the Parks Commissioners were unable to have a quorum, and so they're not here this evening. So we will go ahead and have that discussion and see what we think about consolidation and whether we want to ask the Town Government Study Committee to review consolidation of the Parks Department with the other other town departments. So that is the premise here, and for our board to decide whether we want to ask the Town Government Study Committee to review consolidation of parks with the other departments. So the floor is open if anyone has any initial thoughts. Mr. Wells.
Unless you want to go first? No. So I just take a step back to several months ago when I was chair. They asked Mr. Dennehy and I to appear before them on the same issue. At that time, they talked to us both about cemetery and parks. I mean, one of the things that just in our preliminary is, and I say this as someone who's on the fields quite a bit, this time of year, I think the enormity of the use and responsibility associated with our parks and fields is pretty heavy it's immense. I mean, everything from the playgrounds for the younger kids, soccer, softball, and I'm not going to get them all, Gaelic football, lacrosse, girls softball, boys baseball. I mean, you can't go by a park in this town this time of year that is not like, and the responsibility with managing and taking care of that really, almost, I feel, looking at it, thinking about it, requires some individual attention. And the second aspect of it, which is one which we've talked about a lot in the past year, which really wasn't much on our radar, is how big programs have become. You know, teen talent, just so many things that go on from the programs division or the programs director of that. I mean, I'm fine with them looking at it, but I think it's in before we went in, Michael and I both did talk with Bill Ritchie, Consolidated Facilities Director, and Chase Berkeley, our DPW Director. They both understand this, and the good thing is that when needed, they can get them. You know, in snow or ice and in big things, it is part of the workforce they can draw. But I don't think it can hurt. But it was definitely eye-opening to me. And you know, when grass isn't cut and trash isn't picked up, and those fields need to be lined, and there's a lot there. There's really, and I, as much as I say this now, I want to give a lot of credit to them. The workforce, the people who are out there, like tonight, they had to cancel a concert because it poured rain. I mean, all the things that go on here that a lot of people take for granted and they don't even realize. It's pretty, I mean, we've got a lot of parks here, and we do a lot of things, and it does require an inordinate amount of time and management. And to be honest, the direction that Mr. Dennehy's going now with the reorg I support that. I think that's a good step. I think it's smart both for the recreation side and for the park operation side. So that's just my own thought on it. But I guess it can't hurt for them to take a look at it.
Other thoughts?
You want to speak, Melinda? You can go ahead of me.
I don't really have anything additional. I agree. What's already been started is a great step, and if they can suggest something that would make it stronger, more efficient, lead to better services and better conditions for staff too, it's worth them looking into.
Yeah, I support it as well. I know it's something we've talked about.
Right.
Past boards have talked with the Town Government Study Committee about, so I still support it. At one time, we were talking about the cemetery also.
Right.
And, I'd still like to see that examined, but I think the Town Government Studies Committee's concern was that you better start with parks and DPW and not pursue it with cemetery right now. There was some concern expressed about would it affect burials. Obviously, there's no way of knowing when a burial may be needed. There's very short notice for those, and that may add some difficulties. So I do support any effort we can take to look at saving some money in some aspect, and consolidating is a good thing to pursue. So I support it.
Mr. Wells?
To Katie's point, to the cemetery point, one of the things that was said when we, you don't have to miss one funeral coming through that front gate, and that would be just catastrophic. So, I mean, I don't think people realize how vital that cemetery operation is. So, and that came from them to us. So I got that. I got that. So I mean, it can't hurt. I mean, we've learned so much from the town government system. We've accomplished so much, including the five of us sitting here, that, or the four of us, but the five-member body, that I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate, I have a great appreciation for what they are doing for us right now and what they do for this town.
So I'll say that I'm a big believer in consolidation to the extent that we can create efficiencies and save money. And so I think any effort to review town departments to try to see where we can create efficiencies and save money makes sense. And since the Town Government Study Committee has offered to do this and asked us whether we want them to do it, I think it makes good sense. There have been a lot of different, I think, consolidation thoughts and plans that have floated around in the past. There's been a question about whether you just want to consolidate maintenance. There's been broader consolidation plans floated before, such as setting a human services director on top of the council on aging and parks and several different departments. And so my view is that I would hope that the Town Government Study Committee would review all the different options to see what would be the best, if any, to create efficiencies and save money. So that's my hope. I don't know if, Mike, you have any thoughts on.
No, this board met previously when it was the first board I worked under, and David Burns, who was the chair at that time, had a long history in working in that field, and he had mentioned that human services touch, where you serve everyone from 0 to 99, if you will, under one umbrella, with a director that your parks manager, your recreation manager, your council on aging director all poured up, and it's a human services cabinet, if you will, that would report down and then back up through. I think it's worthy of a study to see if there's some efficiencies or redundancies that could be eliminated. So yeah, again, I too can't thank the Town Government Study Committee enough for the work they've done, and if they're willing to take a look at this, I'd certainly applaud them for that.
So I guess we could vote on a motion to refer to the town government. I don't know if we refer or we request from the town government. It's a moderator appointed body. So I guess we would request that the Town Government Study Committee review consolidation opportunities with the Parks Department and other town departments. I think that's probably the motion. So.
I'll second that.
All right, so I'll make the motion. I'll move that the board request the Town Government Study Committee review options for consolidation of the Parks Department with other town departments. And motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, so that's item 3. And so we'll get that communication out to Town Government Study Committee, and hopefully, the reason that Rick Neely had reached out to us is, they recognize that their term ends through December, so I think they wanted to get a start on it. So that's why we, wanted to take it up as quickly as possible. And hopefully, I know they wanted to hear from the Parks Commissioners as well, so hopefully the Parks Commissioners will have the opportunity to discuss it themselves in short order. Item 4 is a discussion, approval of Select Board Committee appointments. This is a follow-up to our last meeting 2 weeks ago, where we had some discussion of this, and there was some hope of having some further thought by the members on a few things. So we can discuss that and perhaps vote on that now. So.
Mr. Chair, I would renew my motion of our previous meeting to roll over and renew the 2018-19 committees through 2020.
All right, so the motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. The
Want me to
only-
read through them? Oh, you want to change them?
Yeah,
May I just
Yeah,
give
please,
report of my
Ms. Conlon.
conversation with Tony? Because the reason we deferred it was
Right.
Tony had indicated that he'd like to move off of the policy committee and maybe consider the master plan implementation committee or the WARF working group, which I think is the name of it. Tony and I had a brief conversation. It was very short. If my sense of the discussion is correct, he's more interested in the WARF working group than he is the master plan implementation committee, although I indicated that I thought once the MPIC finished its work in Milton Village, that would be a good time to make a change if we wanted to make a change there. And I'm happy to talk with people, with Tony or anyone else about that, if anyone really would like to serve. The WARF working group, well, Richard's the chair, you can speak to this. I did say to Tony briefly that we're already pretty well into our work, and I think it's a fairly short-term
Right.
committee in terms of the length as compared to some of these other committees or standing committees. But we had to cut the call short for work purposes. So we were going to try to connect again, and we have not been able to do that before tonight.
So is the feeling that since he's not here, we shouldn't vote it, or?
No, I'd want to vote. I mean, it's a brand-new committee we just started. We're not, it's not, I don't see it going beyond this year. It could morph into a new committee at that point, not to add other additional things if we're successful, which we will be successful here in what we've taken on so far. But we've got a pretty good thing going right now. I just,
Well, I wouldn't be inclined to change it anyway because of the short duration, and you're already into the work together, but just in case Tony had changed his mind about MPIC, I just didn't know what your thoughts were.
The only
But
thing is, he did tell us he did want to step off policy. He reported that at the last meeting, so I'm not sure what we would do about that committee.
Right,
So we can take them off policy,
okay.
and then, anyone.
was it you? I mean, I'll do it if you want.
I mean, yeah, if we're going to have a committee, we probably should have at least 2 people. So if you're willing, Richard, that'd be great.
So why don't we do, okay,
And-
I'll do that.
And let me make a suggestion. We can always change.
Yeah, you're
We
right.
can al-
That's what I was
So I
gonna
think,
say.
yeah, I think we can vote it tonight, and to the extent we get more input from Tony and things change, we can always rejigger it. I would suggest, a friendly amendment on the motion, taking out ANAC, because that's myself and Ms. Conlon, but that committee needs to be reappointed.
The
And
whole
I think
committee?
we
The
need
whole
to.
committee? Okay.
Yeah, I think-
And reconstituted.
And
perhaps,
reconstituted, yeah, and so I think we probably need to have a discussion about whether we have members of this board on that committee, frankly, whether that makes sense. So I would ask that we have a friendly amendment to
I'll
take
take
that
that.
out.
I'm fine with that.
And in terms of the other ones, I guess we can appoint I guess it makes sense to appoint the committees that aren't rolling at this point. For example, traffic mitigation doesn't roll until October. I guess we could reappoint it now. I guess there's no harm in that,
Might as well do it.
Yeah, might as well do it, okay. All right, so let's see, so we have Finance, Housing, Milton Landing Committee. So I'm going from the list here. Finance, Collins and Conlon, Housing, Collins and Conlon.
But just, Mr. Chair, on that, I'm not really on as a board appointee. I'm really the MPIC's representative on that committee, so.
On Housing.
On housing.
So we'll take you off
Okay.
there. So it'll just be Collins on
Collins.
Housing. Milton Landing Committee, Wells and Conlon. Traffic Mitigation, excuse me, Zulus. Solid Waste Advisory Committee, Collins. Trustees of the Affordable Housing Trust, Collins. Master Plan and Implementation Committee, Conlon. Pilot Committee, Farrington. Capital Improvement Planning Committee, Wells. Youth Task Force, Zulus and Wells, non-voting. School Building Committee, Zulus. Fire Station Building Committee, Wells, non-voting. Policy Committee, Zulus and Wells. Is that the extent of it?
What about the Yulin Rink? I think Tony was staying on that one.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, you will add Yulin Rink as a friendly amendment. Farrington, so we'll add, Richard, that's the friendly
I'm
amendment
good,
as
I'll accept
stated.
that, I'm fine with that.
Great. Anything else? Is that, I guess that's landscape, and if
That's
there's
it.
anything we're missing, we can always pick it up at at the next meeting. So, motion's been made and seconded, I believe. Any further discussion?
I'll add that, so for Tony, if he's watching, or for anyone else, I'm happy to, as you said, we could change these at any time.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
I'm happy to, if anyone is interested in one of the committees I'm serving on, I'm happy to talk with them about it and possibly make a move. So
As am I.
So
As
we
am I.
could, we can reconsider if,
Myself as well.
once we have the full board,
Yeah,
if we need to.
So perhaps we'll put it on the agenda as well for the next meeting, just as a follow-up to make sure.
Okay.
But it does make sense, I agree with Richard, it does make sense to, get it out there and get it done, and then if we need to make, it'll be a
tweak
change
it,
around the
yeah.
edge, yeah. So, okay, anything further?
Call a vote.
Motion's been made and seconded, all's in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, item 5, discussion approval of the 2019 special town meeting date. And we had asked, I believe, the town administrator to follow up with some of the other stakeholders on the town meeting date, and so perhaps Mr. Denny can report on that.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I followed up with several members of town government, reached out to Moderator Hiss, Madam Clerk Galvin, George Asher, who's the Chair of the Warrant Committee, Cheryl Tagayas, who's the Chair of the Planning Board, most, if not all, of the department heads. They're all in agreement that a January date would work better, give the planning board a little more time to work on some stuff. The warrant committee obviously has been through a stressful season and will be facing other things this coming fall. Additionally, Jen McCullough from the office spoke with Milton Public Schools, and the high school is available on January 6th and January 13th. Each of those 2 Mondays, and successive nights if necessary. So it seems like a good fit for either of those Mondays to move special town meeting from the last Monday in October to one of those Mondays in January.
So I think the language of the motion actually needs to be different. So I'm going to move that we cancel the October 2019 special town meeting and schedule a special town meeting for January 13th, 2020.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion?
I think we should just probably send out a note to, because all the department heads and boards and committees, more so the boards and committees, are used to
Especially the warrant
the
committee,
closing
right, yeah.
deadline being, for the warrant being in August. We probably should just have a notice go out this week or next week, probably next week at this point, letting everybody know, and just so no one is submitting any articles.
Do we know
We
what-
should notify the general public, too, that the deadline to submit articles for the January warrant we'll have to set a date for that, but that's probably sometime in November.
Sometime in
I would think.
October, right, mid-October, I'd say? If we're
You think-
moving
Yeah,
it out,
October,
if we're moving it out
Yeah,
5 or 6
late
weeks, then
October,
we can
maybe.
move mid-August out 5 or 6 weeks, so.
Yeah.
We should be able to, pardon me, we should be able, Mike, to maybe just backdate from the new date and then just go back
Yeah.
with the revised dates, and then just, notify both the boards and committee and the public based on those estimated dates.
Yeah, and maybe October's better, because with the holiday season, the warrant committee's not going to have a lot of time the last couple of weeks in December to early January, so.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
And
yeah,
I'll
maybe
publicize the fact that if there's any
mid-October.
citizens petitions or anything that wants to They do need 100 signatures at the special town meeting. That,
Right.
Yeah, I think we should probably put it on our next agenda, but we'll have to set a warrant closing date.
Yes.
So we can do that maybe at the next meeting. And then maybe after that, that's when the notice goes out.
sure.
And then the other thing I would add is, in addition to the reasons that Mike stated and the benefits of it, you know, as we've mentioned before, we have a budget deficit for this year. We need to deal with that budget deficit. If we have a January date, that will allow us to know what the revenue numbers are. And so we'll have a better chance to deal with that budget deficit more accurately and figure out exactly what we need to move and what we need to do in order to close that deficit. And so the January date works a lot better because we'll have a better idea of the revenue numbers. So for that and for all the reasons Mike stated, I think it makes good sense to change to that date.
I do too.
So,
Yeah, the chief appraiser of the town reached out to me this week. I believe he's going to be submitting an article. He asked when special town meeting was going to take place and when an article needs to be submitted by. And I mentioned that was for discussion and possibly approval to move the date to January tonight. So I'll, again, reaching out to everyone to let them know that this board approved January 13th, and we'll set the date at the next meeting of the warrant closing date, and we'll back into the other dates.
great, great. All right, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, that is the last item. We're going to, I think, defer on, unless we have anything that's come up that we need to publicize. We don't have that on the agenda. We can wait until August 7th. Mike, if there's, or anyone, if there's anything that, you know, we need to publicize.
No, I just want to thank the public for their patience with the rollout of the new trash schedule and trash barrels. I believe it's very well received. We have received a couple of concerns that we're addressing with some scheduling issues, but all in all, I want to thank everyone for their patience as we transition through. There's some other communities that are struggling with collection these days, as we read in the newspaper. So very happy with the rollout, and more to come.
Anything else? All right.
Yeah.
Personally, I will thank publicly Sean McCarthy for my new notebooks, and I will be much more organized going forward. So
Champ.
thank you for that. The champ helped me out with some notebooks. So thank you for that. That's all we have. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. We will see you next week on August 7th.
Write
Thank you
this
very much.
down. This is our fastest meeting.